Welcome to The Hanley Effect, a podcast by the Hanley Foundation designed to educate, change minds, and save lives. Our goal is to inspire you, showcase our innovations, and change the conversation about addiction and mental health. Join us as we unravel stories of resilience, recovery, and hope.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back again to The Hanley Effect. I'm Dion DiMucci.
Hello, Dr. D.
Hello, Dr. Dosical. Well, you have
How
to
you
say
doing?
your doctor. You have to say your name.
Oh, I didn't look at the script. Okay, we better start again. Hi, I am Dr. Rachel Dosical.
I love it. See, now I feel like we can go and move on.
Okay.
So this is a first for us.
Yes.
It's part two.
Part two. We're super excited.
We have never done the to be continued, and this is our continuation.
Yes.
And so if you didn't watch or listen to part one, then go do that, because we just are going to briefly introduce that we have Adam Jablin and Dion DiMucci. They are here with us to keep talking about their journeys, about mentorship, about growth, and about what it means to become fully human all the time. And so I want to start by pointing out, I promised last time we'd talk about this, but I just kind of ran my mouth a lot, and I didn't get much to it. But
that was a big change from our former episodes.
It's
Huge change.
I mean, at least I'm consistent. I may run my mouth all the time, but I'm consistent, right? So, if I'm sure a lot of people have seen this by now, but Dion and Adam actually wrote a book together. Now, Dion and Adam are both authors. So they've both written books. Mm-hmm. They've both written biographies, like autobiographies, and about their experiences. I encourage people to check them out. But this is the first time they've come together. And Adam and Dion, we just want to let you talk a little bit about this book and about what it is. It's a fascinating read, and it is, the reason I love it is because it's not just one big long thing, right? It's these stories and it's these bits and pieces that some ADD people like me can actually really digest and get something and think about. So tell us a little bit about this book, about what it is and how it came together.
Yeah. So, Dion's been my mentor for 18 years. And we have if you're in recovery, you'll know this line, but sometimes we have a meeting after the meeting. Okay. And so we would go to these lunches and these dinners, and I would get the greatest education and wisdom that you could ever get from somebody sharing for 3 minutes. And these stories would educate and inform me on how to live my life. It was Dion's past experiences. One day, we're at lunch together, and I whatever he said again just encapsulated me and put me into a fourth or fifth dimension. And I just said, I really wish everybody was here to hear these conversations. I was like, I really wish everybody was here. And he looked at me and he goes, well, why don't we start documenting them? Why don't we'll just start documenting? Let's see, and maybe we'll get a book together. And I was, that's a great idea. I was like, that's a great idea. And one lunch at a time, one talk at a time. Sometimes he would send me notes, and before you know it, we started documenting many, many of these conversations that we've had over the years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was a labor of love.
The funny part about it is my sponsor, Ben, he was so brilliant, and he could put words together and define things for me. Whoever thought of defining the word like love? Whoever, I could go on, and I'll get into it in a bit, but he was so fascinating to listen to that I said, Ben, you should write a book. And he'd always go, no. So I think when Adam said that, it came out of frustration that maybe I could get some of Ben's stuff.
You'd heard no enough
the conduit.
that you wanted to say yes.
Yes.
You wanted to hear somebody say yes.
Yes, you're the conduit.
I just wish he would have because every time he talked, I wish I had a tape recorder on. You know, it would have been a great textbook to just look up subjects, and because he would just define stuff like love. Who knew? You know, the first time, a guy ran up to him with his wife in tow and said, "Ben, I'm getting divorced. I don't love her anymore." And Ben said, "Well, then love her." And he said, "No, I don't love her anymore. We're getting divorced." He said, "Well, then love her." And I'm sitting there. He wasn't my sponsor yet. This is early on. And he must have repeated it about 4 times. I'm thinking, he must be deaf. The guy just told him he doesn't love. And he said, "Love isn't a feeling. It's an action. It's a choice. It's an act of your will. You choose to love. So go love your wife." And he walked away from the guy. And I thought, wow, that's different, and then it kept going. Like somewhere in my relationship with Benny, he said, "Don't ever confuse approval with love, because if you do, you're going to be seeking approval all your life. It's not love." Yes. So that taught me something. When you digest something like that, I have 3 daughters, so I tell them, "Sweetheart," they're all grown out of the house, married, kids and all. I just say, "You don't have to live up to my expectations. You're not obligated to me in any way. All I care about and hope for you is when you have to make a decision, you consult your mind, your heart, your conscience, your God, make the best decision possible. I'm good with that." Yeah. So
powerful.
I don't have to try to, because sometimes I divide people sometimes, like there's the decent and the indecent, or the people like to control people and people who don't. I'm in the, I don't like to control. I have no, I have no interest in controlling people.
Right.
So, because that's the way I was brought up, with that kind of God, with that kind of sponsorship, and then you learn things that I even pushed back on. When I heard God is love, God is love. I know He's loving, but He is love. He doesn't judge you. You're judged. You're punished by your sins, not for them. You're not. God isn't doing the judging and the punishing. He's doing the saving. He loves you. He wants you to be. So I went to my sponsor once. I said, "There's this guy. He loaded up his wife's credit cards through the roof, and he left her, and he has another wife in the town next. He's got kids then, and she's still paying off this debt. How does a guy like that get punished?" He says, "A guy like that gets punished. You know how a guy like that gets punished? By being a guy like that."
Right.
I'm thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? When he said you're punished by your sins, not for them, I went and I sought out theologians and asked them, because I thought I don't know, he's just telling me if this is opinion.
Just making it up as he goes.
Well, I got some, I went to the church, I got theologians, the best theologians I could find, like Scott Hahn, who all the bishops give a thumbs up. I got Bishop Barron. I asked them all. They said, "He's right." I said, "Man, people like me don't hear rightly." We go to church, like when I was a kid, if I asked all my aunts, I thought God was a punishing God. They go, "When did you hear that?" Like, we didn't hear that. God is love. It's just the way you hear sometimes. I don't know what that is. But I love being part of the recovery and learning and keep growing. And I'm still growing today. You know, I still have a mentor in my life, and I talked to him yesterday. You know, and it's the way to go. You know, it's you stay on this. You want to grow.
Is that constantly becoming more of the human that we're really supposed to be, that a loving God would want us to be? It's funny, I've heard you, and you know, it's even, you know, your book signing. You guys recently had a really successful book signing, and I brought my whole family, and we came down and said hello, and I was blown away. I mean, this enormous bookstore, you know, one of the big two-story ones, and that's just packed with hundreds and hundreds of people. And as I walked in the door, this is pretty recently, it was, you were talking about what you were just talking about, and saying those words, you know, God doesn't, you know, it's not, you know, we don't have this punishing God, and it's funny, as a person who grew up in kind of that tradition, that I heard that and I felt that, and I've become the theologian, and become not really a theologian, but certainly went to seminary and have studied this and have come to that point and realized, oh, that thing that
Did
I
they
heard,
teach you that?
No, I learned it was through mentorship and through, you know, there was a Maronite Catholic priest who was a genius guy. You knew him, and he really helped me as well understand that, which is funny because I never grew up Catholic. But just this idea of challenging that life's not out to get you, God's not out to beat you up. It's still, for I think a lot of people, is a very, very challenging idea, because, and I think sometime when people, you know, I've been a chaplain for many, many years, and seen people come into spiritual programs of recovery, and that word God, you know, even talking about higher power, really has a lot of negative baggage for a lot of people. And so giving your story and your perception of like this is not, it's not a scary thing, right? It's very the opposite.
The only thing I knew from, I don't know if I ever told Adam this. I think I did. But the only thing I remember from CCD, you know, from, you know, religious instructions, was I asked the nun once about the Trinity. I said, what is that? You know, how can there be three people and one you know? She said, it's like water, ice, and vapor. It's the same substance, a different form. And I thought, I was like maybe 11. I went, oh, that makes sense. But that was the only thing I remembered, you know. But all these stories I'm telling you about defining words and you know, looking into stuff and like picking it apart, and you know, and just really, you know, seeing it for what it is. That's the reason that we wanted to write the book. You know, all these conversations we both had, and we both were like, you know, we should pass this on, some of this stuff, because I know it's simple and it's not that complicated, but a lot of people don't know it, you know. I said, well, let's you know, let's just put it down, make it fun to read, you know. So what the book is it's just events in both our lives that we were reflecting on, and that it comes out with kind of like a life lesson, but in a very fun way to read, an entertaining way to read. But there's a lot of substance behind it. Like it gets you at the end, you know, in each story, you know.
Everyone does, and none of them, the beauty of it is it's two men sharing their stories and just saying, here's the story, and this is what I got from it. And there is, it's almost like there's a built-in permission. Get what you get from this, right? You don't have to get what I get from this. Here's what I got from this. But it's beautiful. And I was telling Adam, and I think we talked about this a little before. So when I'm still going through it, but you know, when I saw like lists, you know, broken in, there's like lists like of these are the songs that have most, you know, impacted me. These are the books that have most impacted me. And I'm thinking, you know, that's a strange, I must have been put in there to like break it up. But you talked about in our first episode, the power of the fact that just reading books is listening. It's opening yourself up to something. And I just thought about a
Another
book list.
perspective,
Yeah, in
yeah.
a whole different way. That it's not just like these are the books I've liked. These are the songs I dig. It's these are moments where I have been able to be open and been given something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
You know what else I love about the stories is where it also brings Dion's life in, and it's attractive to people because, you know, pop culture and fame and music it's more relevant now with social media than I think
Right.
it even ever was. So in some of the themes and the arcs of these stories, you know, you get to see Dion walk as the man he is, you know, but bringing up people like Bruce Springsteen and Stevie Van Zandt and Lou Reed and his younger days, you know, from Bobby Darin and his relationship with the Belmonts and you know Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, and so you're just getting a whole new perspective on how to actually still walk that walk, no matter what's on the outside.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter what's on the outside. Like for me, I that's why I emulate him so much. That would have been very distracting for me.
Right, the success, the
Very
all that,
distracting,
yeah,
you know.
right.
And he walked the walk.
Well, the reason for the list, like take the book list. In fact, I'm doing a podcast. I think it's tomorrow. It's called "You Are What You Read." So I'm thinking that's pretty good title, you know. And I put some books that I don't even remember what we wrote, John. I forget. You know,
You can throw one out, and if it's not there, it's a bonus.
But I think,
We'll
you
run
know,
and
and
get
they
it.
change every day. But I think like the first book was Seven Story Mountain by Thomas
Yes,
Merton.
that's in there.
And to me, like reading that book, I saw a saint kind of, you know, like I thought saints were perfect. A saint is just someone who is aware that he's in need of the grace of God. That's what a saint is, you know. So I'm looking at this guy, Thomas Merton, walk the streets of New York. I mean, he went to Columbia.
Yep.
So you know, he's talking about walking down Fifth Avenue and buying books, and it's like I never thought of a saint walking around New York. And so it really made a big impression on me. This book. And the second book I think I put down was Catholicism by Bishop Barron. I learned the thing, you know, I don't remember the whole book, but the thing that really stands out in that book is that, excuse me, if you're not connected to a higher power, if you're not centered, however you want to explain it, you have to fill your life up with something. And St. Thomas Aquinas says that there's these four great temptations: wealth, pleasure, power, and honor. And that's what you try to fill your life up with. Now, that's what I used to do. Money, get the girl, get the position, get some kind of power. You know, you're trying to honor. Got to be right. You got to win. You got to be better.
Yeah.
I mean, you just watch the Jersey Housewives or the New York. You'll see them all. Well, you know who I. You know, all that, you know. I never lie, and you know, and all that kind of stuff. So you try to fill your life up with these things, you know, and think they're going to get you there. They're going to give you. You're going to arrive. You know, you do all this stuff to get there. Then you have that spiritual awakening and you're there, and that enables you to do the stuff. So what happens is I get on that road, and you start seeing that these things, money, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever you want to, you know, the power, the honor, they're not bad things. We're not Puritans. But when you're connected and God's in your life, He shapes your desire for those things. And that is really true freedom. It's biblical freedom. It's not just my freedom. My freedom was like, do anything you want,
Right.
especially if you don't get caught, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, that was freedom to me. But real freedom is doing God's best.
And it was Jim Carrey who, within the past couple of years, had an interview and talked about. He said there's a tremendous advantage to wealth and fame and power. He says what it does is it teaches you that's not enough. He said that the best thing I ever got from power, wealth, and fame was that it taught me that it didn't. At the end, I could have it all, and it wasn't enough.
That's right.
Adam and I both say sometimes God will give you everything you want in order to show you what you need. But a lot of people don't go there. What I used to do is I got the wealth, I got the girl, I got the position, the honor. Something's wrong. Something's missing. What is it? I know. I need more money. I need more sex. I need, right. I need more of this, more of that. I need, more food, more clothes, a better car.
Right.
Whatever it is, and you can't get there. It's just not. It doesn't satisfy. The thing is when, my friend wrote a book called. I think it's on the list. It's called The Fulfillment of All Desire. And I told him, I said, Ralph, if you understand that title, you don't even have to read the book.
It's that, Adam and I talk a lot about the pursuit of happiness versus pursuit of peace, right? The pursuit of happiness is, I don't feel good, I got to find something to make me feel good. And whatever you think will make you happy probably will for a minute. And then you got to find the next thing and the next thing. And
exactly.
We live in a world where so many of us chase our tails forever and ever.
That's so true.
And peace is that thing that you're describing that is I have a wholeness. And when I'm whole, when I'm connected, that word you use, connected, then I can find joy. It's not that the things that are bad, but they're not enough, It's a beautiful picture, and you have that not many of us have that story that you have, that others have, that can say, did it, got it, every dream like kids have, got it, and I can tell you, not enough.
Just read the tabloids.
Yeah.
That's right.
They'll back you up.
Well, speaking of, I wanted to talk a little bit about. I'm actually really excited about this. I don't know how many people know about this, or it's going to be coming, but there is a musical about your life. Did you know this?
Yeah, Adam and I sat in on a lot of the presentations and the rehearsals with. Stevie Van Zandt and myself coordinating the music and all. I tell you want to stay young, you get into a rehearsal hall with 30 talented kids. I mean, it's just real uplifting. Right, Adam?
Oh, I got two stories about that, if that's okay.
I want to hear about it.
So
I can't
one
wait to see
is,
this.
I believe this Broadway play is the first play to really demonstrate what addiction and recovery look like.
Yeah.
That's, so when it comes out, it's going to, which is soon, it's going to make a mark on Broadway, especially with what's going on now. But secondly, when we would go to these rehearsals, he was still Dion with these guys. So these rehearsals turned into what we would call meetings, because they wanted more of the they wanted more speak about enchantment and speak about God and speak about they were craving more of his wisdom, which let me know this thing is going to work.
It's interesting. The first part that you talked about, the first musical that is touching on addiction and recovery, it drives me nuts that when you look at the shows on TV and the like, they only talk about the first part, the hard part.
Right.
The addiction itself. Nobody talks about the life after, the life beyond your wildest dreams.
I know what you're talking about, because when I was talking to the playwright, who was a friend of mine, he's like a young Scorsese, I said, I don't want a play that I said, I saw a lot of these plays where somebody starts off, they're in the ghetto, they're poor, they learn they could write songs, and next thing you know, they work through all these obstacles, and then they're at Carnegie Hall, and they're at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they made it. I said, it doesn't go far enough for me. I said, there's a big difference between success and fulfillment. Yes. We got to take it up to another level. So it goes from success to, no, this isn't it. So it kind of like, it trails off there. You get that betrayal thing. Then there's that victory, and you go into, because fulfillment and success are two different things. And we both know a lot of people who are very successful, but they're unhappy. In fact, I got to tell you this. I didn't tell you this. I went to church yesterday, Adam. I come out, and this young doctor comes over to me, bought the book. He says, chapter 18 changed my life.
Really?
I said, what are you talking? Beautiful looking guy, Joseph. He says to me, it's chapter 18. I said, what is it? I forgot what it was. He says, you had everything, but he said, I'm unhappy. He said, you that's why I'm here today. I just had my dad told me you come to church here. And it was a beautiful conversation I had with him. But he sensed that he was very successful. He's got the money, the car, the looks, the health.
Yeah.
And there's something missing, Yeah.
You were so successful as well. The
Right?
heir of your family's business, traveling all over, everywhere. I mean,
Mr. America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It really doesn't go all the way. No. It really doesn't go all the way. And the lie is exactly what he said, is that you're going to think more of it will substitute. So it's again why mentorship is so important, because I still think, look, no matter how wonderful it is when we're getting clean and sober, no matter how wonderful it is, this world is distracting. It is really, really distracting, and it wants to suck you in and still make you believe that those things are going to fulfill you. Yeah. And I was so blessed, is really the word, to find somebody that I could walk the path. You know what I mean? I walked out of the Hanley Center and followed his path, because that success it's still distracting. It still can be very distracting.
You mean you haven't lost your humanity yet?
Yeah, exactly.
You're still human.
I mean, I still wake up sometimes thinking more is the answer, but you surround yourself with the right minds and the right love and the right mentor, and you, even on the days you don't want to, you just follow the path, and you'll feel whole again.
Dion, I am inferring from our conversation that Ben passed at some point. Talk about the loss of your sponsor and how you become connected to somebody else, especially after having a sponsor for 30 years.
Well, his words and his direction will always be with me. This is a funny story. He told me once, he said, Dion, the last stage of humility is learning how to receive gracefully. Just saying thank you.
Wow.
So I thought, that's wonderful, so that's a good thing. So sometimes people could really direct you well, but they can't get it themselves. So I'm out to dinner with him, my wife Susan, and he and Kathy were at some Italian restaurant on Federal Highway down in Boca. And I'm telling him, I'm sitting across the table from him saying, Ben, without you, my life wouldn't be the same. My life, and his hand goes up in my face. D, let me tell you, you've made my life. You got Ben. I'm trying to tell you something, Ben. With your love and your direction, D, you've been much more to me. I said, I yelled, I cursed at him. I said, Ben, shut your mouth.
Beep. I just beeped it
Shut
out.
your beeping mouth. I'm trying to tell you that I love you. And he shut up. But, you know, he goes,
good.
he's with me, you know, like my life wouldn't be the same without him. And I met a fella in New York, you know, you connect. The guy has, his thinking is sound, you know, he's like on the path. He's, and, you know, I just ask, you know, could you sponsor me? Could you mentor me? Could I call you when I need somebody to talk to when I'm, you know, heavily, you know, engaged, you know, emotionally involved in something. He said, sure, anytime. So I moved, you know, I went there, you know. When I came into this spiritual 12-step based recovery program, there was a lot of Christian guys in there. It was like 1968. And there were all these, like these 4 guys that had gray hair and these little wireframe glasses, and they all talked about Jesus. And I'm going, what does Jesus have to do with, you know? And I didn't know Jesus from a hole in the wall. You know, I was a believer that there was something, you know, and I grabbed onto, you know, the idea that there's a creator who created you know, the universe and what we're looking at, my eyes, and sees me, my ears, and he hears me, but I didn't really understand it. So one guy handed me the C.S. Lewis book, which I have, I think, on the list. Now, I told you, I read these books, I get one thing out of it. You know, I don't remember the whole book.
Right.
But the one thing I remember is this guy saying in the book, I believe Jesus is a great prophet. He said a lot of great things. I said, no, he can't be a good prophet. He said he was the Son of God. He said he was the Messiah. He's got to be a lunatic or a liar. He can't be a good prophet. He's got to be nuts. He's either who he said he was, or he's a lunatic, or he's a liar. So I looked at those 3 areas. I said, who would think of this? So I picked up a Bible. I started reading, and I read myself right into it. I said that it made total sense to me. So once you realize if Jesus is the Son of God, if you realize that, why wouldn't you want to know everything he said? I mean, you know, I hear so many people in recovery go, I never had a blueprint. I never had a book to tell me how to do life. Well, there is a book to tell you. You know, I just ignored it, and I was defiant about it. So that's why that book is in the top 5, just because of that question.
And thinking about, you know, as we're coming to our time, thinking about the power. What about people who don't have a specific faith, or can they get help too?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
It is in the same place and in the same.
We always talk about being open. Okay, being open. So, like Dion just said, he read himself in there. But if you hear the first part of the interview, he was the guy. I know. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so if you're open, just open, meaning when these conversations happen and that voice starts telling you, this is BS, this is nonsense, there's no such, like, just quiet it down. Just quiet it down, and just be available. Just listen to somebody else's.
Hey, I got a funny story to tell you. I'm sorry, I sound like
No.
I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm like 85. I like to talk.
You get to do whatever you want. That's right. Come on.
I have 3 daughters that are teachers. They go, now, Dad, you know, let's have the conversation balance out a little, you know. But I got to tell you, this Jewish guy comes in, Alex. He comes into a meeting, and we say the Lord's Prayer at the end of the meeting. Mm-hmm. So we say the Lord's Prayer, and Alex looks at me. He says, he's Jewish. He says, Dion, I can't say the Lord's Prayer. I'm Jewish. That's a Christian prayer. So I had the prayer on a little card, and I handed it to him. I said, tell me what's Christian about it. So he reads it, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And he reads the whole thing and he goes, I don't know. so I said to him, Alex, do you know where that prayer comes from? He said, no. I said, well, there was this Jewish rabbi and there was these 12 Jewish guys that were listening to him. Mm-hmm. He was mentoring these 12 Jewish guys, and they said, Rabbi, teach us how to pray. And the rabbi said, pray this way, Our Father who art in... I said, it's a Jewish thing.
Mm. That's right. That's beautiful.
I said, I should be complaining. I'm Italian. So what I'm saying is, there's, like God doesn't make make a hard bargain there. It's just, he's open to everybody.
There is room for everyone.
Sure. And, even somebody who's slow like me.
I don't think so much as you'd say, but I'm a little. I love that story. I'm also a little ticked off at Adam here because I like to wrap things up and I like to say what I got out of this, and you just hit it. I mean, the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this time together is be open. That message is so clear. And so I'm even thinking in my own life, and I encourage everybody who's listening to think about what does it mean for me? Where do I need to be more open? Because that theme has just come through all of this.
And listen.
Yeah.
And listen. This is a domino effect of teaching that you all have talked about. Ben taught you taught Adam. Adam, I know how many people you've taught.
Right. Yeah.
It's incredible. That openness leads to amazing things.
We're vessels. We're like just little links in the chain,
Right.
Yeah. Wow. What an honor to be with the two of you.
It has honestly been an honor. I just want to keep. Can we just keep going for another few hours?
Let's just. Nobody would mind.
And you have to realize, to steal the microphone real fast, how special this is for me. Yeah, we're older. I don't have any more black hair, but 18 years ago, I walked into the Hanley Center one person, and you guys taught me what to do. I said goodbye to you. I walked out and I met Dion. So for me, this is very, very special.
Yeah.
It's very, very special.
When I first met this guy, when he told you when he walked into that first meeting, he was 30 years old. And he always had the room was always better off when he was in it. He's a very, very vivacious, kind of inquisitive, kind of very energetic and just giving guy, So he's easy to take, so.
What a compliment. The room is always better when you're in it.
No, but he's so enthusiastic with helping people, so he's a giver,
And it doesn't stop. I tell people, this guy, you're gonna think, no, there's another, no, this is just who he is.
Yeah.
And he has the wisdom behind it, like you said, his whole background, he has a track record. It's a lot of stuff he knows that he taps into,
Yep. Well, we're glad that you brought it here, and just want to say again, thank you both so much. As always, thank you, Dr. Dosical.
Thank you, Dr. Darvin.
Lovely to be here. I want to say thanks to everybody who's watching or listening, and we will see you next time on The Hanley Effect.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for The Hanley Effect. To learn more about our programs, visit hanleyfoundation.org or call 844-502-4673.